Which one would you prefer? Before or after? Yes, that was purely rhetorical. Okay, check this out. I am in front of my neighbor's car. Okay, I'm in covert mode right now. I want to get this done before my neighbor comes out. So if I see him, Patrick, how you doing, buddy? So if I see him coming out, I'm gonna have to cut it, ditch it, act like I'm working in my own car or something like that. But Patrick knows exactly what I do for a living. He knows about these videos. He tunes into my channel and watches some of these videos. So if he doesn't notice the after results, he will be informed when he sees this video. So this will be kind of cool. So let me get started. Let me see if I can teach you guys a few things along the way. And I'll show you some before and after shots. I'll do a 50-50. I think I can get a few moments out of this if I can just remain covert enough to get it done. So let's get started. Okay, party people, here is our specimen 2002 Porsche Carrera Turbo with roughly 80,000 miles on it. Lots of sun exposure. I want to polish out this rear spoiler, show you before and after. I'm going to break as many rules along the way as I can. One of them, well, two precisely in the moment, is working in direct sunlight. Here is Southern California. Temperature today is 95 degrees. The temperature, let's do an official reading. Whoa, 167. 165, that is hot. Pretty smoking hot. I'll put a link in the description box below to discuss the merits of true waterborne technology, which is the polish that I will be using today. One of the main goals of the video today is to get you beginners, you fence sitters out there that are so overwhelmed with all the endless BS and hype, to get you off the fence and to let me show you how simple it can be, that goes counter to what the industry would have you to believe. For example, never polish in direct sunlight. You're gonna need multiple compounds and polishes to produce desired results. It goes on and on and on. And yes, before you polish a car, I highly recommend you decontaminate the paint. That is a glorified way of saying use a clay bar to remove bonded surface contaminants. That way you're not trying to push through and polish through the surface contaminants. It will change your polishing experience. Not necessarily the end result, but if you're pushing through dirt particles and you think you're gonna buff it off, well, you might be in for a rude awakening, for one, and secondly, just do a dedicated step so that you have a better user experience, especially if you're a newbie, because you don't want to add additional work and frustration to what is already gonna be some work anyways. Now, like I say in every video, is you have to respond to the moment. So the moment of this is very hot paint working in direct sunlight. So I got my homemade clay lube, which is just the CSI Q7 wax, 1 ounce diluted down to a 32-ounce bottle of distilled water. So is this ideal? Of course it isn't. But as a mobile detailer, this is what I've had to do for, wait for it, 30 plus years. Now, because the paint is as hot as it will, it literally wants to, for lack of a better description, melt this clay bar. Not like candle wax, but it wants to stick to it, become gooey. So it's not optimum, but it can be done. So you're gonna leave a bunch of what I call skid marks in the form of a clay bar on this, but no big deal. Now this blend is about, let's call it 10% rubbing alcohol. Generic rubbing alcohol mixed with distilled water. Now the alcohol should help dissolve and break down. Yes, it does. So I just verified that kind of gooey residue from the clay bar. And now I got a nice, silky, smooth surface in which to polish. Trust me, as a beginner, you're not gonna want any added resistance along the way. And I mean that both figuratively and literally. So if you have bonded contaminants you're working against, that will add literally some resistance as you're polishing. Honestly, if I were to just wax that now, this thing would be already improved pretty dramatically. Now, not necessarily visually right now, because there's still plenty of, well, what you would guys call swirl marks. As a professional, I call that wash scratch, towel marks. It's just the endless scratching that appears in a circular pattern because of the reflection of, well, the light source is called the sun. The sun is a circle, therefore it casts, it scatters the light reflection in a circular pattern, hence the term swirl marks. Ooh, silky smooth, that's what we want. Now the goal is to show you guys a nice before shot, which is difficult. So here we go. There is the scattered light from the sun. This is what you would call swirl marks. I'll start over here and do the 50-50. Go from there. Just gonna bisect this, do a 50-50. I'm gonna polish over here first. So I'm gonna allow enough prophylactic in the form of tape, because I know I'm gonna get some overlap with the buffer if I'm gonna take it all the way to the edge of this protective line. Could have reached for my wider tape, but got a little hasty in the moment. Okay, we got one polish, one buffer, one pad. The industry's original single product polish. And what that means to you is that it will do heavy defect removal and finish down to a swirl-free finish with one product, not multiple products. This is our cutting pad. We have a finishing pad, but I want to show you truly how simple, as in less moving parts there can be, to produce desired results. This is Max Shine Buffer. It's a 15mm throw. I've got it on a speed setting of 5. To add some context to the moment, old paint, severely neglected, heavy emphasis on swirl marks, towel scratch, wash scratch, whatever you want to call it. Because I'm working in direct sunlight, I have to respond to those moving parts that I can't control. For example, I will season my pad with more polish because of the hot paint, direct sunlight. I will work smaller sections to allow more working time because of the hot paint, direct sunlight. Also, I want to be cognizant of the fact that this is an old car. So I could go through the clear coat in chasing perfection and reduce what is left of the clear coat, but that's that fine balance act that only you can have with your customer, or you as a car owner have to factor or weigh in on, which is, okay, if I'm using abrasive particles to scratch or polish your way to success, you will naturally, automatically be reducing the thickness of the clear coat the more you work. So that's where that balance act comes in. I am not going to chase perfection here because, well, it's not my car. I have not had that discussion with my customer here. So I'm going to keep it hopefully dramatic as far as producing results while being ultra safe and retaining as much clear coat thickness as possible. Let me wipe this off and I'll bring you in, even though it won't be a direct 50-50, because I'm still gonna finesse this even further, but just to get you guys salivating sooner rather than later. There we have the before, and I'll just cruise on up, trying to retain the sun and the, wow, this is really hard to see in direct sunlight. And by sun, or hard to see, what I really am referring to is my LCD screen. This spoiler has a natural curvature to it. Well, I can only guess that it's capturing. So let me just kind of go left and right, and you can see hopefully a line of demarcation. Unless, of course, you think you're going to be doing this by hand and you think that you're going to obtain these type of results by hand. If you think that, you're in for a rude awakening. Once again, everything's got trade-offs. So let me go in over here further. Once again, I'm going to use a little more polish than I normally would, specifically if it was on a shaded, cool surface. Wipe off, and I'm checking results myself, and already the sun is going into high definition mode. So allow me to elaborate and see if I can capture. Okay, so the sun is already going into what I call high definition mode. And what I mean in this moment is the actual shape, the circular pattern of the sun. It's less scattered. I'm not talking about the scattered effect, which you would call swirl marks, wash, scratch, spider webbing. I'm literally trying to illustrate how the sun already, the shape of it, is becoming more precise, more defined, higher resolution. And you saw how quickly, how short that polishing cycle was that I did. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a deeper dive while still retaining integrity of the clear coat. Now because this is uneven, when I put the pad down, the pad is naturally flat. Yes, it will conform because it's malleable enough, but I have to accept it in pushing it down to conform to this natural curvature, that the high points, which is here and here, will naturally build up friction quicker. So if I want to retain the integrity precisely on the edge and finessing this to a higher degree of perfection, I'm going to go into risk mitigation, which is tape off this edge. And this is where the details come in. And this is where you can choose to educate your customer, because I found that when you educate your customer, they value you more, because you will present yourself as the expert, not them, but you. Not in a condescending type of way, but you are the expert. Actually, I don't need to take that part off. This forward edge is much more subtle, but nonetheless, I'm still gonna tape it off for additional protection. Now, same polish, same buffer, same speed. Go in, apply some more polish. Factoring in all the components, direct sun, hot paint, chasing a higher level of perfection, not absolute perfection. And in case you're wondering how much hotter does that paint get, I can't really interpret anything really different. It's still scorching hot. I guarantee it made it hotter, but well, for me, in the professional world, in many ways, it's irrelevant. Now, you'll go on to forums, Facebook groups, YouTube, and you'll find out all the reasons you should not polish on hot paint, direct sunlight, yada, 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 jack off sign, whatever. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. I just did it off camera, but as a rule, when I do 2 applications of polish, I clean my pad. I just use a stiff nylon brush. They have dedicated brushes for that. Always check the links below and you can find out the exact products that I use, and if you want to get some yourself. I don't know about you guys, but I'm beginning to get a little moist down south because this is just looking so much better. Now when I do tape off sections like this, what I will do is I will remove this edge protection here. Now there's going to be a little polish residue kind of built up where that edge was. I'll show you an easy fix. I'm just going to finesse that line away with a little additional polish. There's just a little tiny bit because my pad is seasoned pretty well. it actually didn't take that long. It's just that I know the more I polish, the better this paint is gonna look, but I constantly have to weigh in myself. It's like, okay, I wanna retain as much clear coat thickness as possible. That's the trade-off. But also, I want perfection. But that simply is unrealistic in a lot of ways. And not just unrealistic, probably the more correct term would be inappropriate. So if I'm weighing in on the fact that clear coat is good, clear coat is a finite thickness, original factory paint, and the more I polish, the thinner it will get in the pursuit of perfection. So it's like, what is appropriate? How much clear coat do you want left? Now, when I'm referring to this, it will strike the fear of God into a lot of you. The point is I'm talking thousandths of an inch. Very, very, it would be hard to measure it. Now, if I wasn't working in direct sunlight and I had more time and I wasn't trying to be in covert mode with my neighbor, I could whip out the mil gauge thickness and determine how much thickness of clear coat I removed. My guess is, based on what I did, it would probably be like 0.1, 0.2 mils of thickness. Once again, check the links below. I'll take you to additional videos, additional intel on one of my websites. Now, because I want to retain the hard line of this before and after, there's a natural line, once again, of polish right through here, the middle, but I don't want to be overly aggressive at removing it because I could introduce what you would call micro marring onto this freshly polished area. So I really want to retain that before and after moment. And let's go in for that before and after moment. And this is the challenge. How do I catch the reflection of the sun? Follow it down. That curvature and that spoiler makes it difficult. So at some point, I'm gonna capture that before and after while trying to simultaneously barely see this LCD screen. I think it might be around there somewhere. It's really hard. I'm on my iPhone on this one. Okay, here's my line of demarcation. We have before, we have after. Before, after. Which one would you prefer? Before or after? Yes, that was purely rhetorical, because if you have any eyesight left, of course you're going to want the after. Okay, I think I have to go in covert mode. My neighbor just opened his garage. Okay, so I'm ducking down behind the car. There's my cart over there. There's my test dummy that I keep doing and destroying in videos for you guys. But I want to capture this effect, the before and after effect. So here we are. Got the line of demarcation right there. Try to capture the sunlight. So that's after. And up here will be before. I can just capture that darn sun. There it is, I think. So there we go, the line of demarcation.